It's August 2020 and I don't know what this month is gonna bring, but this is the same month as the second biggest pay-per-view in WWE history, SummerSlam. And while it might not be at Barclays or the Staples Center, I love this pay-per-view. Like, this pay-per-view brings back so many amazing memories for me as a wrestling fan. So for the rest of the month, I'm honestly probably just gonna post nothing but SummerSlam videos, so look out for all those. But today I want to talk about my favorite SummerSlam of all time, SummerSlam 2009. Before we get into it, thank you to these people for commenting on the last video. And if you want to be shouted out in the next one, all you have to do is like the video and also comment down below your favorite SummerSlam and why. Also, big thanks to everyone coming over to the channel from Wrestle Talk, as I was on their recent podcast with Luke Owen as we talked about Raw Underground, and I had a great time, honestly. Great time talking to him, and hopefully I can come back one day. But with all that aside, let's go ahead and talk about SummerSlam 2009. Happening August 23rd, 2009, live from the Staples Center, the first SummerSlam to come from the Staples Center, which was a weird tradition for the next couple of years that they would always go to the Staples Center before switching over to Barclays. With estimated 370,000 pay-per-view buys and an estimated 14,000 crowd, this show undoubtedly felt like the biggest party of the summer. I know that's like the tagline, but it really did. Like, even the theme song, like, play it a little bit. This is lit. Like, I feel like I'm about to go to Coachella. Like, this is real. Yo. It's tough. WWE did a really good job with this card because it wasn't just a pay-per-view card, this was a super card. There was 3 huge main events, and yeah, there's only one real main event, but there was 3 main events on this show. The return of DX versus Legacy, John Cena versus Randy Orton for the WWE Championship, and CM Punk versus Jeff Hardy for the World Heavyweight Championship in a TLC match. Even looking at the rest of the card, 14 out of the 20 guys on this show were all future or former world champions at the time. 15 if you want to count Cody outside of WWE. My only real issue with the show was honestly that there was no women's matches at all, or Divas matches at the time. They were a dark match before the show, before it was a pre-show or a kickoff, in a 15 Diva Battle Royal with Chavo Guerrero as a special referee. There was 2 championships for the women in WWE, and neither of them were defended at SummerSlam? The show started off with the Intercontinental Championship, Dolph Ziggler versus Rey Mysterio. And for the record, this was my first ever SummerSlam watching as a fan. So remember, I'm just seeing some of these people for like the first time because I just got into wrestling like December 2008. So a lot of these people were kind of brand new to me because I was kind of watching off and on, just trying to really understand what's going on to begin with. Kind of funny how the Intercontinental Championship was like bigger than Rey. Like, the main plate was the size of his torso, and it was just hilarious because he couldn't wear it around his waist because it would just fall. Also, as a kid, I had no idea who named their kid Dolph Ziggler because I thought those names were like their real life names. Rey Mysterio's first name is actually Oscar. That still scares me a little bit. And I really thought Dolph was just short for Dolphin. So I called him Dolphin Ziggler for like a year and a half. A lot of the veterans of the business always say how wrestling is no longer about the story that you're telling in the ring, but only about the flippy stuff and the athletic moves you do in the ring. Even though this match is 11 years old, which is crazy because time moves so quick. I'm 21 right now with a YouTube channel, and back then I was 9, still stuffing Swiss rolls down my throat. But this match did prove for a fact that you can be as athletic as you want to be, as long as you're taking that crowd on a journey. It doesn't matter how many flips you do, as long as they are emotionally invested and those flips actually mean something. Regardless if he was a champion, Rey felt like the underdog, and regardless if he was a new guy, Dolph was definitely the aggressor the entire match. Todd Gresham also said during the match that Rey actually had a tattoo of a letter that a fan wrote him in Spanish on his side, which was like the most heartwarming thing I've ever heard. He tattooed a letter that a fan gave him on his body. That I love Rey Mysterio. Like, I still love Rey, but man, I loved him back then. Oh my God, what a guy. The match was great. The crowd was really into everything a part of this match. Like, it's definitely something to go back and watch. At no point did I really think Ziggler was gonna get the win, even though I kind of wanted him to. But this match did such a good job getting Ziggler's character over that I almost forgot that the IC title was on the line. The next match was MVP versus Jack Swagger, and while a lot of people kind of write this off as boring and stupid, the promo beforehand that MVP cut just goes to show, like, this guy is probably one of the best talkers, if not the best talker on the roster right now. Because, like, him right now in 2020, he's very good, and I should have recognized that back when I was 9. The match was billed as a culture clash, you know, the ex-con versus the NCAA collegiate athlete. The MVP had a really good line when he said this: "When you were in the NCAA and wrestled, your prize was a trophy. When I was in the DOC and fought, my prize was the right to live another day." The only thing I can say about the actual match is that why wasn't MVP a contender for the world title? Maybe not the world champion, but why wasn't he a big contender for it? After this, they showed a bunch of celebrities in the crowd, including Luke Perry, RIP, but we also saw a cameo by a very young Jungle Boy. After this, was a unified tag team championship match of Jericho versus Crime Time. Why wasn't Crime Time ever tag team champions during their entire reign? Huh? The theme was a banger. The entrance was a banger. They could wrestle. JTG in the ring was amazing. Shad, big man, good. Man, rest in peace, Shad. Oh my, the dude went out as a hero. Like, all wrestling nonsense aside, the dude is a legitimate hero. Rest in peace, Shad. Oh my. Any person my age is watching this. Did we all hate Chris Jericho growing up? Because I hated the guy. Like, anything he said, the way he walked to the ring and looked around, the way he used those big words like hypocrite and parasite that I didn't know when I was 10 or whatever. He just pissed me off. It just irked me. Even watching it back, I was still just irked a little. Realistically, I couldn't see Crime Time actually getting the win. I mean, Jericho was just too over in LA. Jericho got the win after Big Show knocked out JTG and the ref just didn't see it. Kane versus the Great Khali was next, and I did not watch it. I didn't watch it then, I didn't watch it now, and I refuse to ever watch it. It sounds boring, I didn't want to see it. Next. Next was the reunion of D-Generation X. After Shawn Michaels left WWE, I guess, in kayfabe, after losing to The Undertaker, he looked like he didn't want to wrestle anymore, and he was becoming a chef now in a restaurant that looked like it was in an airport, and he looked like he really did not like his new manager and some of the customers there. Triple H tried to go for the WWE Championship, but Legacy ended up costing him the match and the championship, so he tried to fight them 2-on-1, and they whooped his so he needed some backup. So with some convincing, he got Shawn Michaels to come back to WWE, and this was the big return. Legacy looked great for the build-up for the match and also the match itself because they felt like two guys that you knew were going to be future world champions. One was in WWE. They both honestly should have been. They were very good. My biggest issue, right? Why wasn't Cody wearing knee pads? I don't like seeing your knees. Those knee pads, bro. I don't want to see your caps. Alright? I ain't trying to see your caps. Ew. But you knew for a freaking fact that this match was gonna be good. DX literally split the entire stage and rode out on a tank. A tank, bro. How did they split the whole stage? I'm still so confused. During the match, Legacy came off as one of those teams that like really didn't need tag team gold to feel like they were important because they didn't feel like they were tag team wrestlers. They felt like future world champions, so they were kind of just like with each other until they didn't need each other anymore. Solid match. It makes sense why DX would win. I kind of wanted Legacy, to be honest, like even as a kid and even now I still wanted them to win. But it made a lot more sense why DX got the win. And I think Legacy came out of the match looking really good too. And also, wait, hold up, I have a DX hat I'm gonna wear now. I should have just wore this. Suck it. Okay, I got in trouble at school once for doing that. Said it to the principal. She didn't tell my mom though. Don't snitch, alright? Don't snitch. Next we have the WWE Championship match, John Cena versus Randy Orton. And I'm not gonna act like this match was good. I'm not gonna act like it was great. But for me, as a kid, during this time, I know I keep referencing that, but this was my time period of when I was watching wrestling. Some people grew up during Bret versus Shawn. Some people grew up versus Austin versus Rock. This was my version of it. Cena, Orton, this was my Bret and Shawn. This was my Austin and Rock. And I will never complain about Cena and Orton. It was good, it was great, and I think it should be ranked higher in greatest feuds of all time. I loved Cena versus Orton, and I don't care what anyone says. Also, I had no idea John Cena was so short. Like, I thought this dude was at least 6'4". I mean, he's not short, he's 6'1", but like when he had like his face up against Orton in the promos, like he seemed tiny. Like, real tiny. He also had a really good Muhammad Ali type of style of promo where he hypes up himself and how good he is while also tearing down his opponent. And he said this: "You're staring in the face of 250 pounds of problem that's ready to rip your body in half." Yo, Cena, chill. Sit down, bro. Calm down, big fella. That ain't wrestling, that's murder. Alright? Alright, I'm from DC, we had a sniper back in the day. No sir. Randy Orton was also one of those characters that I just couldn't stand growing up. As much as I hated him, he's so good in the ring. Like, I know people complain about him nowadays, blah 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 bullcrap. I still think he's one of the greatest of all time. He's so smooth in the ring, if he had a milk brand, it would be silk. Cena was wilding out during the entire match though. He did some throwback neck breakers. He did his Hulk Hogan Ricochet Offspring move of having like a leg drop from the top rope. I was ready to see Cena get that dub because that was my favorite wrestler of all time and still is. I love John Cena. But Randy got a roll-up victory after knocking down the ref, and also when he rolled him up, he put his feet on the top rope. Not even the second, the top. The match restarted and Cena looked like he was about to get the win again before someone interfered and Randy hit a couple RKOs and then he got his dub. Again, he technically beat him twice that night. Just saying. Bad night for Cena. Bad night. Finally, we have the last main event of the show. Punk versus Hardy TLC. This was the blood feud of a century. I've never been so invested in a feud, and I've never hated someone more than I hated CM Punk. when I was 10. I loved him by the time I was 11, but I hated him. God, I hated CM Punk. But nowadays, I'm walking off camera one last time. I actually had this autograph figure that he signed, and I don't regret it. I still love CM Punk. Also throw it in there somewhere, because I kind of forgot. Christian faced William Regal for the ECW Championship. This match happened after a SmackDown World title match where Matt Hardy was a special guest enforcer, and Matt actually helped Jeff get the dub after they had their weird, brother feud. But for the match itself, what didn't this match have is the real question. People were going through tables, chairs were thrown, ladders were climbed on, they had some nice little chain wrestling to start off the match, brother. There was a superplex into a ladder which looked like it just shattered your spine, and Jeff Swanton from the tallest ladder I've ever seen in my entire life was insane. That looks so painful. I can't even climb a ladder that tall. If I get on a step stool, I'm already crying, bro. There's no way I can get on a ladder that's like 20 feet in the air in the middle of the Staples Center, and I'm gonna jump on a dude on a table. What the hell? Jeff's comeback after that spot was just like, oh my God, Jeff's gonna get the dub. And then Punk got the dub. And then I cried a little bit, but then Undertaker came back. And you already knew what the next feud coming up was, and I was thoroughly entertained, honestly. I loved it. Jeff left WWE after this. They had their cage match. He did his goodbye speech. I cried a little bit, can't lie. And it really just made me hate CM Punk, so when the Undertaker was whooping that I loved it. Looking back at it, kind of wish Punk won the feud. But at the moment, I loved it. But yeah, guys, that's my review or opinion or whatever you want to call this about SummerSlam 2009. My favorite SummerSlam of all time. And I'm going to say your favorite too. In the comments down below, make sure you're commenting your favorite SummerSlam and why. And I'm going to pick one or two of you to shout out in the next video. But thank you guys for watching the video. If you really enjoyed, make sure to like, comment, share, and always subscribe. And we outie.
We going up like 1,000. I'ma flex just like a MuscleManMalcolm. We going up like 1,000. I'ma flex just like a MuscleManMalcolm. When it just like 1, 2, 3. If you like the channel, this subscribe. If you like the channel, this subscribe. If you like the channel, this subscribe.